What's up guys, Boss here, and I'm back with another YouTube video, and this time we're going to be playing some ladder using Giant Prince EDRAG. So if you guys remember, about a year ago, I used to make so many videos on this deck, even like 8-9 months ago, something like that. I was making videos on this deck pretty often, and it was easily the deck I used the most in this game. And it slowly but surely has kind of faded out of the meta, but I feel like the recent balance changes has helped the deck a little bit because, of course, this deck doesn't have Musketeer, Skeleton Dragons, and Heal Spirit in it, and because all those cards were broken, them getting nerfed technically is a small buff to the deck. And also, Musketeer did quite well against this deck, considering Musketeer versus the Mega Minion EDRAG did very good. You know, EDRAG and Musketeer, or EDRAG and Mega Minion died to the Musketeer and they don't even hit it, especially if they protect it. And it's just very difficult to beat most Musketeer decks, but since Musketeer was nerfed, I think this will be a little stronger. And also, of course, the Prince getting a slight hit points buff, I think this deck will be possibly viable again. I don't think it's going to be OP or broken in the meta, but like I did a year ago, I proved that if you use the deck well, you can have success with it and be high up on ladder and do well in things such as global tournaments. That is what I did about a year ago because it was the main thing I used. Before we get in the first game, if you guys want to support me, you can use my creator code BOSS. You can use it in any Supercell game. Help support me, help support the channel. Appreciate all you guys who do use my code. It means a lot. But let's go ahead and get into the first game. Did a little bit of pushing since last video. I'm at 5,900, 430th. Right now, so we're going to try to push up even more, get hopefully into the top 200. That would be a good goal, maybe even further than that. But yeah, I mean, this deck, if you guys remember, I used to make videos on it all the time. It was the main deck I used on ladder. I still know, even after not using it for all, most of the, like pretty much all the interactions, I know the ins and outs of this deck very well, what you want to do in most matchups, but there has been quite a few balance changes and cards added since I use this deck frequently, so there definitely will be a few things I have to learn if I plan on using this deck, you know, occasionally again. But I'm going to, the next few days, test it out and see how it is in the meta. Because, as I said, Musketeer was annoying for this deck to deal with, so it's just the question of how, whoa. A little bit of, a little bit of lag there for a second, but I think it's fine now. So he has Ewiz, which is usually paired with the Pekka, but what's interesting is he has the Log. So the question is, does he have any other cards different, or is the Log the only thing that's different for him in this Pekka Bridgecam deck? Maybe does he have just Log instead of Zap, and then everything else is the same? I mean, we'll have to see, I guess. In this matchup, though, I generally in single play pretty passively versus Pekka Bridgecam, and I try to get majority of my damage in double and triple elixir because Pekka Bridgecam, if you guys didn't know, the deck is very, very good in single elixir. Very, very easy to punish your opponent if they're low on elixir. So I usually like playing pretty passively, and sometimes on defense I even play the Giant into the Pekka just because it does a good job of defending it. In this case, I don't think I need to, just because the Mega Minion and Prince are helping out enough. So I can even go for a Giant now because the Pekka is going to be out of rotation momentarily, but he's going to have a Hunter. So not only does he have the Pekka, he also has Hunter as well, which of course is a high DPS dealing card. And he's going to have the Lightning as well. Okay, so not going to lie, Lightning not really something we want to see just because Lightning is quite good against the EDRAG. But if you guys didn't know, this is something I did a lot. When I use this deck, I often went for Lightning blocks. When I know they're going to go for a Lightning, I play a Miner because the Miner actually has more hit points than the EDRAG. So if you have a Giant, Prince, and EDRAG down, if you throw your Miner down, predicting their Lightning, you can end up getting the Lightning block, and the Lightning Rod ends up hitting the Giant, Prince, and the Miner, and you save your 5 elixir EDRAG with the 3 elixir Miner, getting a pretty nice trade. That's a really good tip for you guys. But in this case, we don't have enough elixir to go for the Miner as well as the Giant, so we don't we aren't able to get a lightning block ready, so we're going to just need to go for a defensive miner, and, you know, we're just going to chill a little bit. You know, so far, we're in the driver's seat. Things are looking pretty good. You know, we're just playing this pretty passively. No need to go for any giants at the bridge aggressively when, of course, he has the hunter and Pekka at the ready. It doesn't make sense to do so. He's going to get really aggressive, though, in the opposite lane. We're going to get a really valuable EDRAG. In fact, it's going to completely shut down the E-Wiz. The chain effect is just so clutch sometimes. And now I'm going to go on the counter push in the opposite lane. There's a high chance he's going to lightning here, but if he does, we have a Mega Minion at the ready. And now, after he lightning, he doesn't have enough elixir to play at Pekka, so it's a good opportunity for us to get some damage. He's probably going to go for an E-Wiz when he has the elixir, but it's going to die to the Mega Minion. Oh, he actually goes for Battle Ram, so Mega Minion should lock on the tower, and he's not going to be able to get the E-Wiz down right away. So, one more hit on the tower. Okay, that's GG, because all we need to do is cycle back to one more Fireball, and we get the win. Honestly, not a... I don't know, like, would I rate this matchup? Honestly, a lot of people... I remember when I used Giant EDRAG a lot of people said that, you know, that Pekka was, you know, a difficult matchup. In my opinion, it's quite even, but due to the fact that he has a lightning, it's probably, you know, a little tougher. I don't think he played it amazingly, but also he didn't have the bandit, and the bandit often can be really, really annoying, especially in single elixir. So, you know, I'm not really sure. I guess I don't verse that kind of Pekka deck enough to know, but from my experience versus normal Pekka bridge spam, it's a relatively even matchup. The EDRAG gets a kind of an absurd amount of value sometimes just because your opponent often, you know, doesn't have a good way of killing it. With poison and zap being their spells, poison and zap don't kill the EDRAG, so it stays alive on your side of the map for a really, really long time. And it's super good versus the Battle Ram, you know, even like the Pekka as well. So we found our next game here versus 1 HP. We'll give him the good luck, and we'll see what we want to do. We might want to wait a little bit. Often with this deck, I'm okay waiting, you know, just to see if my opponent makes a move. Even if I have a zap and log and cycle and a miner, it's fine waiting. Like, there's no need to rush into things. You're not using, you know, a cycle deck. Of course, you're not using a beatdown deck, but, well, it's kind of beatdown, but it's not, what I mean is like a heavy beatdown deck. And so this guy has an E-Wiz and an Inferno Drag, and we already saw the Bandit, so it's probably going to be Mega Knight Ram Rider if I had to guess. So I'm just going to go for a Giant because we know that his Inferno Drag's out of cycle because he just played it. He's probably going to Ram Rider, or I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to Mega Knight. Interesting. So he just played the Poison as well as the Mega Knight. That's 11 elixir down the drain, and we are already, you know, accumulating all that damage on top of his tower. We can just go for a defensive miner here. We can go for a Prince, wait for the Bandit to charge on the miner, so then that way it doesn't charge on the Prince. And the Prince is going to completely take care of everything. No need to log, no need to get crazy. Waste, you know, elixir, because we know that the Prince has enough HP to take care of everything. So, horrible Bar Barrel. He completely screwed up the timing, and the Prince connected to his tower. But, you know, that is something that happens, even though he made a huge mistake. I see some good players mess up that timing too occasionally. It's not always, you know... Okay. I mean, Ramrider's going to get a little damage, but he did just spend 7. We did spend 8 on defense, but we have a little bit of counter push. And then this is a good, decent miner, I would say. You know, we're going to... zap this. I guess I kind of need to log it too. Wow, aggressive EDRAG. Or aggressive Ram Rider. That's what I meant to say. And now it's time to set up for a Giant in the back because he has his win condition out of rotation. I mean, I highly doubt he's going to pressure with a Mega Knight at the bridge in the opposite lane. Too risky, and we can just defend it with a Prince. He is going to go for a Bandit, though, so we need to get ready with the miner. And then he's going to go for an EDRAG to defend our Giant. Luckily, though, we do have the... Did I say EDRAG to defend? I meant the Inferno Drag. But anyway, we play the EDRAG to reset it. I'm going to Fireball this. I think it should hit the Inferno Drag too, but it was dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you can see, not too bad of a matchup at all. In fact, Bridge Spam is one of the easiest matchups for this deck, which is why Pekka, even though Pekka versus the Giant does well, like one-on-one, the EDRAG allows you to beat Bridgecam just really, really easily. You know, just the EDRAG stun against the Ram Rider and the Battle Ram, and even other Bridgecam decks, such as, you know, the Magic Archer Bridgecam deck. You do have Fireball to take out the Magic Archer every time. Prince is pretty annoying to deal with, and then, of course, once again, you have the EDRAG to stun their Inferno Drag. So you just have lots of tools and often the correct responses in Cycle. It's just a matter of if you verse a faster Cycle Bridgecam deck. If you guys know who Wero is, he actually, Laser is Wero. He was on, Wero was on Laser. He finished #1 with Bridgecam. Wero, you can see here, same deck except Magic Archer instead of the Musketeer. That's the Bridgecam deck that's really good. And he finished 1st and 3rd in the world with. That's still a good matchup for you. You just have to make sure you're playing pretty passively in single, because it's easy for them to get damage if you're not careful. So we're already getting really close to the top 200. I think one more win will probably put us there, but we're going to see how high we can get and see if we can build a win streak. So far I'm liking this. So far it's going well. You know, once again, this is just a test. I'm not going to jump to conclusions too quickly and assume that, like, way early on in the season, that Giant EDRAG is, you know, good and completely viable in the meta. We, you know, have yet to see how it does against, you know, Fisherman decks. Also, you know, Lightning. Like, what if someone's using RG Lightning Fisherman? That's probably pretty difficult, because not only do they have the Lightning for the EDRAG, they also have the Fisherman to pull the Giant, and probably a Goblin Cage too. So that's one where I'm not sure how I would be able to win. But I think it's possible. You just have to go for Lightning blocks with the Miner, and also maybe zaps to reset the Fisherman. That's what Giant players do a lot when they verse Fisherman decks. They zap the Fisherman to reset the hook, so it has to restart the hook charge. But we'll just have to see when we go verse a Fisherman deck. It's taking a little while to find a game, but we should find it soon. Probably, like, you know, within the next 20 seconds or so. There we go. So here we go, reverse GGYI. We do have Miner in our starting hand, as well as Log. We'll wait, be a little patient, just to see if he wants to, you know, make a move. If not, I'm fine cycling Log. And he's going to Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart, you know, typically is either Fireball bait or Graveyard. But it also could be something else. Not really, to be honest, sure what that Miner was. That was not good. I guess it's alright though, but Fireball. What is this? Mega Knight? Okay. The question is then, does he have Royal Hogs? You know, what's going to be his win condition? Because we already know that he has... Oh, no. Graveyard isn't bad, it's just it's not a bad matchup, it's just we don't have the Elixir. Graveyard is actually OP if you don't have the correct responses in Cycle. A lot of people are even saying it deserves a nerf. I don't know if it deserves a nerf, but I will say you can often win a game just because of one Graveyard push, which to me sometimes seems crazy, but also it's my fault that I put myself in that situation. I was low on Elixir, and yeah, I shouldn't have put myself in that position to begin with, and I really don't think this is too bad of a matchup, especially since we have the EDRAG for his Inferno Drag. But with this type of deck, it's quite bad in single Elixir sometimes. I would consider this deck definitely better in double in a lot of matchups. and this could definitely be one of them. And also, very interesting that he's got a Fireball and a Zap in a graveyard deck. That's not something you see very often. Typically, the spells for graveyard decks are Poison as well as Bar Barrel, but this guy, for whatever reason, has a Fireball and a Zap. So very interesting to see, because I don't think they synergize very well with the graveyard. I mean, of course, he has all this lead early on, but that's not really due to the Fireball and the Zap. That was more due to the fact I was kind of caught off guard from the first graveyard. But I actually think we were overwhelming him here. I don't know what just happened, but this is what I was saying. The EDRAG is so good in this matchup. Just continue to reset the Inferno Drag, and wow, that was an incredible comeback. He's laughing. We're laughing because he's laughing for absolutely no reason. Obviously, probably a little salty that he couldn't defend. And, I don't, BM when I'm recording a lot, but, I mean, to me, at least, it's pretty funny when the opponent laughs when they lost. I don't know, it makes me laugh every time. We're one position off. Well, actually, we're technically in the top 200 because the glitched accounts. So we're in the top 200 officially because the top few are glitched. But we're going to keep going, get to at least 6K, and maybe even more. I could probably play 2 or 3 more games, depending on how long they are. But so far, looking pretty good. That last game, we took a bunch of, I think we got on, it's safe to say we got a little unlucky at the beginning. We didn't entirely know what he was using. He just had that one graveyard push where he got so much damage. And then also, single can be a little rough because you can get out cycled much easier. And it's just, and until you completely identify what the other person's using, it can be a little annoying, like that last game. Because I was like, okay, is he using Royal Hogs? Is he, I wasn't sure what his win condition was, and then he, whipped out the graveyard when I was least expecting it. But anyway, we'll go ahead and cycle a Zap here. This guy's just gonna go Royal Hogs right out of the gate. I mean, I don't have a Fireball in cycle. He did go for a Heal Spirit though, so I'm gonna go ahead and Giant in front because he did just use 6 Elixir. We have a Prince that we used to defend, and here we go, the Royal Recruits. Recruits are very, very good versus the Prince, but what's kind of unfortunate for him is because he played the Royal Hogs, he is so low on Elixir, so there is a chance that he won't be able to prevent all of this damage, and unfortunately he is able to prevent everything, so. Should I go for, I'm up in Elixir, he doesn't have Recruits in cycle. This is okay, I think. And now what does he have for the Prince? What do you have for the Prince? Nothing. See what I did there? No Recruits in cycle? Well, actually, no, he didn't have them in cycle. And even if he did, he didn't have enough Elixir for 7. He didn't have a Goblin Cage in cycle. His cycle was completely messed up, and he was forced to play Royal Hogs on defense, and then after that, no Elixir for anything else, nothing good in cycle. Heal Spirit to distract a charge, but he took so much damage still, and we put ourselves in an incredible position moving into double Elixir. So he's going to go Recruits. I can just log. Okay, this is, I don't expect to get a ton of damage out of this, but at least we can sneak a Miner through, hopefully. And interesting Royal Hogs. Surprised he chooses to give me that good of Fireball value. I assume he knew we had the Fireball. Maybe we didn't use it this game, but he should have known we had it, because Giant without Fireball, unless you're using Giant Graveyard, isn't really a thing. And the Skeleton Dragons, as you guys can see, significantly worse. You can just see the amount of damage they're doing, or not the damage, but the hit speed just really brings down their DPS, and they're not a strong, or certainly not a broken card anymore. I still think they're going to be above average, and we will see them in the meta, because in certain decks, like Fireball bait decks, they are, a bit more they make more sense to be in the deck instead of the baby dragon, just because the baby dragon, you can't split the baby dragon, and also the skeleton dragons, since there's 2 of them, do more damage. They just have less hit points. So now I feel like there's going to be more of, people are going to have to figure out, you know, it's going to be harder to decide which one they want to use, but I still think the skeleton dragons are going to be used a lot, and I don't think they're not at all going to be dead, and they're still going to be used a lot. But here we go. We move all the way up to 119. 119. That's pretty crazy. I mean, early season though, wins always move you up a ton, like 100 places. I say we go for one more game to move us into the top, officially into the top 100. Try to go for that. We might already be in the top 100 because of all the glitched accounts, but this will seal top 100 if we do end up winning this next game, and also would give us a pretty solid win streak because I don't think we've lost a single game yet. So yeah, we'll go for one more, see what we get. And so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I mean, we just beat a recruits deck. I don't think that guy played that well, but just in terms of the musketeer and the recruits, they didn't seem to do that good of a job of stopping the giant pushes, and the EDRAG does a really nice job because of the chain against the royal recruits as well. So I definitely think it's a winnable matchup to beat recruit decks, and we also have log to take the shield off of the recruits as well. So I feel like we have a lot of good responses. I'm gonna go ahead and zap his tower. We're gonna see what, you know, what he has. Okay, so typically if someone drops a goblin cage, I normally just go for a giant, because by the time the giant gets there, the brawler pops out, so the cage isn't going to be much of a distraction. So he's going to have hunter. I mean, hunter goblin cage. It could be RG. I mean, looks like he is going to have the magic. If he has magic archer, you know, I gotta assume it's royal hogs. We lost. GG. Yeah, it's over. We 100% lost. Nothing we could do there. So like, I guess it's really reliant on cycle. Like the last game, we had no problem beating the royal hog recruits deck, but this game, like, I fireballed the magic archer. You know, obviously, nothing wrong with fireballing a magic archer, because it's something that if it stays alive for way too long, it's not a good thing. So I wouldn't even necessarily call that a mistake, but due to the fact that he has a fireball bait, you know, aspect to his deck, and, you know, I use royal hog decks a lot too. Anytime someone fireballs a magic archer, anything like that, it is a correct play to go for royal hogs, but me, like, on defense, there's nothing I could do there, you know? I had no fireball in cycle, just pretty much nothing I could do, and that was kind of unfortunate, but at least we are getting something done here. I guess we have that, you know, slim chance of making a comeback. It's not, you know, and the prince went in the wrong, yeah, we lost. Unlucky. With this deck, when I use this deck, this is something I always talked about in the videos, always something I remembered. In single elixir, you can get screwed over so hard with this deck, but in double elixir, any matchup, almost every single matchup is in your favor, because you can keep up with the cycle. But here, we did pretty much nothing wrong. We just got screwed over due to us not having the correct cycle. And you can see, in double elixir, we started making a comeback, and that's because, like, again, with this deck, it's just, I don't know why, because it's not like a golem deck or like a really heavy deck, but I played this deck a really long time. You know, because I played it a ton like a year or two ago, and I just remember double and triple elixir, well, triple has been added recently, and that could be another reason why this deck could actually be viable, and I'm going to test it because this deck does really, really well in double and triple elixir. In single elixir, it does so bad in majority of matchups. And I don't know like what the reason why is, but I think it's because your cycle can just get a little bit weird sometimes, because you do have 3 spells. Like, I mean, you have the Prince in the EDRAG. You don't have like a cycle card like Skeletons, Ice Spirit, so your cycle can get a little bit thrown off sometimes. So that's part of the issue, and why single elixir you have to be really careful. In that game, I should have probably just, you know, known he had Royal Hogs, not fireballed the Magic Archer, and just try to deal with it, you know, maybe with like a Mega Minion or something, or just a Miner. But that's probably the one thing I could have done differently. But that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We got on a pretty nice win streak before we lost, winning 1, 2, 3, 4 games. So not bad at all. I think we moved up into the top 100 as well, because a lot of the accounts are glitched. As you saw, it usually happens like first week or 2 of the season. There's a lot of bugged accounts, but usually they end up getting passed after the first couple weeks, and it isn't an issue anymore. But yeah, it's going to be it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. A lot of you guys in the comments have been asking me to use Giant EDRAG, you know, because it's what I was known for a year ago, and I haven't done a video on it in such a long time. And I thought with these balance changes, specifically the Musketeer nerf, I think it's going to be a little bit stronger. I'm going to test it out a little bit more. No promises, though. I'm not going to be extremely optimistic about it. I don't want to be too hopeful, get my hopes up too high, and then realize it's trash. So my expectations are low. It might just be a deck I use occasionally on ladder. You know, maybe I use it like in CRL, maybe in competitive in the future it can be used again, but we'll have to see if it's good enough to get. My goal is a top 3 finish on ladder, so we'll have to see in my eyes if it's good enough to get a top 3 finish with it. And that will be the decision if I end up using it or not. That's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like the video if you guys did. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And thanks again. Until next time, guys.